The Internet is one of the United States' most robust and growing industries. It enables free and open communication among billions, and it's been the backbone of protests around the world. But a new bill proposes we give the power to censor the Internet to the entertainment industry. It's called Protect IP, and here's how it works. Private corporations want the ability to shut down unauthorized sites where people download movies, TV shows, and music. Since most of these sites are outside U.S. jurisdiction, Protect IP uses a couple different tactics within American borders. Firstly, it gives the government the power to make U.S. internet providers block access to infringing domain names. They can also sue US-based search engines, directories, or even blogs and forums to have links to these sites removed. Secondly, Protect IP gives corporations and the government the ability to cut off funds to infringing websites by having US-based advertisers and payment services cancel those accounts. In a nutshell, that's what Protect IP will try to do. But in all likelihood, it'll do something else altogether. For starters, it won't stop downloaders. You'll still be able to access a blocked site just by entering its IP address instead of its name. What Protect IP will do is cripple new startups because it also lets companies sue any site they feel isn't doing their filtering well enough. These lawsuits could easily bankrupt new search engines and social media sites. And Protect IP's wording is ambiguous enough that important social media sites could become targets. Lots of trailblazing websites could look like piracy havens to the wrong judge. Tumblr, SoundCloud, and early YouTube, wherever people express themselves, make art, broadcast news, or organize protests, there's plenty of TV footage, movie clips, and copyrighted music mixed in. And even if you trust the US government not to abuse their new power to censor the net, what about the countries that follow in our path and pass similar laws? People around the world will have very different internets, and unscrupulous governments will have powerful tools to hinder free expression. But perhaps most dangerously, Protect IP will meddle with the inner workings of the net. Experts believe by fiddling with the web's registry of domain names, the result will be less security and less stability. In short, Protect IP won't stop piracy, but it will introduce vast potential for censorship and abuse while making the web less safe and less reliable. This is the internet we're talking about. It's a vital and vibrant medium, and our government is tampering with its basic structure so people will maybe buy more Hollywood movies. But Hollywood movies don't get grassroots candidates elected. They don't overthrow corrupt regimes, and the entire entertainment industry doesn't even contribute that much to our economy. The internet does all these and more. Corporations already have tools to fight piracy. They have the power to take down specific content, to sue peer-to-peer software companies out of existence, and to sue journalists just for talking about how to copy a DVD. They have a history of stretching and abusing their powers. They tried to take a baby video off YouTube just for the music playing in the background. They've used legal penalties written for large-scale commercial piracy to go after families and children. They even sued to ban the VCR and the first MP3 players. So the question is, how far will they take all this? The answer at this point is obvious. As far as we'll let them. Since we made this video, Protect IP has gotten much worse and is set up for quick passage. Now, the government and corporations could block any site, foreign or domestic, just for one infringing link. Sites like YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook would have to censor their users or get shut down, since they become liable for everything users post. And ordinary users could go to jail for 5 years for posting any copyrighted work, even just singing a pop song.
ACTA, Anti-Counterfeiting Trade Agreement. The name is misleading. The original idea of ACTA is to internationally protect intellectual property. It's supposed to help prevent product and trademark counterfeiting, like fake copies of expensive goods, misusing trademarks, like using a well-known car brand on tampons, for example making General Motors tampons. It will safeguard research investments in development of products, e.g. medical patents or pharmaceutical products. It's also supposed to support artists and journalists and allow them to produce higher quality work and internationally harmonise copyright laws. Sounds great, doesn't it? But there's a twist. The Oxford English Dictionary defines a counterfeit as, quote, a fraudulent imitation of something else. But when a file is copied on the internet, it is exactly the same as the original. not an imitation, and it is not stolen since the original is not removed. The information is simply being shared free of charge, so counterfeiting has nothing to do with it. Let us explain. Intellectual property is never really defined within ACTA. It could mean trademarks, or it could mean any idea or information which later could be copyrighted, restricted and criminalised. This will have a tremendous effect on the internet as we know it. The actual ACTA text covers a huge range of topics and is very complex and hard to grasp, so we will explain what happens on the internet in a hypothetical real-world analogy. Imagine paying for a cookery course. During this course you learn how to cook some really tasty fried chicken. Then you return home and teach the recipe to your wife. But here's the catch. According to ACTA, you are now both criminals since you shared that information for free when only you had paid to learn it. The ACTA regulations are clear. When you're suspected of sharing copyrighted information, depending on the country you live in, then your access to any kind of courses will be blocked, you will be fined or sent directly to prison. But surely no one would find out that you'd shared the knowledge of the secret fried chicken in private at home. And you're right. Under current law, no one would. But ACTA deals with this through excessive surveillance. All your communication will be monitored, and not only yours. Your family, your friends will all be observed, just in case. But you don't need privacy, civil rights or liberties, because you have nothing to hide, do you? Now that you know the principle, let's see how it will be applied on the internet when ACTA comes into effect. You can imagine your internet connection like a conveyor belt running in two directions. Along the conveyor belt, packets of data are coming in and going out of your computer. Under ACTA, ISPs, the company you pay for access to the internet, will be forced to open up and inspect every single data package you send or receive to look for copyrighted information. Send or receive copyrighted info several times and you could be disconnected from the internet or face criminal charges. That means if you send an MP3 to your friend through an instant messenger, upload a video of a party which played copyrighted music, or quote a copyrighted newspaper article in an email, you're gone. That's it. As if that wasn't enough, the information about the news article you sent via email will be sent to the publisher, and based on their claims you could be fined or sent to prison. ISPs will also be required to constantly check that no copyrighted material or links to copyrighted material are found anywhere on their servers. This will be fatal for sites that hold any kind of user-generated content, like music, pictures or video. How could YouTube or Twitter work under a law like that? So the internet as we know it is on the brink of destruction. But at least you'd think that the money from all these lawsuits would benefit creative people. But musicians, writers, movie makers, journalists, software developers and researchers also lose, because they are now held by the same rules. Protected ideas now can't be reused, refined or developed any further. Even parts of sentences could be protected and made restricted by copyright. The whole agreement only benefits a small part of the industry, the so-called content mafia. Media publishing companies like the RIAA and the MPAA, who have long tried to solve the internet problem that threatens their obsolete business model. ACTA is the result of their lobbying within the governments that participate in the negotiations. Latest leaks indicate that techniques that bypass the planned content filter and blocking infrastructure will also be made illegal. And the worst thing? It's all done in secret. If you're European, it's even being done by people who haven't been elected by the public. You've already seen where this is heading on YouTube. Videos are unavailable in certain geographical areas. This obsessive copy protection is also a great tool for information suppression. Once all the internet filters and blocking techniques are in place, virtually all information tagged as copyright could be suppressed. Maybe your critical blog or Twitter account, or the video you made about rigged elections and environmental catastrophes, or even the pictures of your kittens. Okay, maybe not your kittens. Not unless you pasted a Coca-Cola logo onto their fur. This all sounds unbelievable for everyone who's had even a small glimpse of how the net works. But remember, those who work on the agreement might not have any clue what the internet is about. Once the treaty is signed, their rules will have to be implemented. The consequences we have to deal with are internet censorship, restricted freedom of speech, loss of net neutrality due to the restrictions of the use of certain protocols, total surveillance of all your online activities, loss of freedoms and restriction of civil rights, punishment like losing your internet access, and we will gain nothing. The time to act for the internet is now. Google Actor. Load your tweets and photoshops, let it be known that no one messes with the internet, and take it to the streets. Stop the Kraken.
Cowardice. Are you serious? Apologies for freedom. I can't handle this. When freedom brings, answer the call.
On your feet, stand up tall.
Freedom's on our shoulders.
A Comissão Federal de Comunicações, o regulador americano do setor, se pronunciou nesta quinta-feira pelo fim do princípio de neutralidade da rede, que exige que os provedores de internet processem todo o conteúdo online do mesmo jeito. A decisão, por 3 votos a 2, aprovou uma proposta do presidente indicado pelos republicanos, Ajit Pai, que disse se propor a dar um fim a regras que considera torpes, que desestimulam o investimento e a inovação. O democrata Mignon Clyburn, contrário à decisão, afirmou que a comissão está entregando as chaves da internet a um punhado de corporações multimilionárias. A medida permite, teoricamente, que os provedores modulem a velocidade da internet em função do conteúdo que transmitem. Desde 2015, as empresas eram proibidas de dar preferência no tráfego para determinados serviços. Enquanto partidários da proposta argumentam que ela fomenta a inovação e o investimento, ao eliminar a carga regulatória pesada, seus críticos alegam que ela poderia acabar com a internet aberta e permitir às grandes empresas de banda larga escolher quais pessoas podem ter acesso ao tráfego online e prejudicar os consumidores.
Outro tema polêmico foi a sanção por Donald Trump da lei aprovada na semana passada pelo Congresso que retira restrições à venda de dados de usuários de internet. A partir de agora, os provedores poderão comercializar dados como histórico de navegação, informações de saúde e financeiras e geolocalização sem pedir autorização. Isso, segundo ativistas de direitos civis, coloca em risco a privacidade dos consumidores.
Grandes empresas de internet ganharam milhões de dólares na NSA, a Agência Nacional de Segurança dos Estados Unidos, para participar do programa de espionagem Prisma. A revelação foi feita hoje pelo jornal britânico The Guardian, com base nos documentos liberados pelo ex-agente da CIA e da NSA, Edward Snowden. Essa é a primeira confirmação sobre uma relação econômica entre a NSA e empresas como Google, Yahoo, Microsoft e Facebook.
And it's wrong. If we're going to criticize the Chinese for censorship, it's time to point out what's happening. So I'm throwing the gauntlet down. We're putting this up on the YouTube channel, and I'm going to have to take action because look, the people, like Walter Cronkite said, have a right to not be manipulated and lied to. They have a right to see what's really going on in their name. And that little child in absolute horror with the whole bottom of their face blown off is just a snapshot of the millions that have been killed in these globalist wars. And it needs to stop. It needs to come to an end now. Speaking of Google censorship, we're going to get to that in a moment. But first, we have some news articles here. ABC and CBS News both cut away due to technical difficulties at the onset of the Oakland police violence. This is being reported by, well, they're admitting it. They're saying they had a glitch. A cutout, and ABC admits that they, quote, had a cutout, and so did CBS, if you believe that. Well, then, I got some disinformation to sell you. Disinformation company is actually a good outfit. They make the point that they're exposing disinformation. And then the Washington Post has coverage of the Oakland police rampage. They show a police officer petting a kitty. See, they've dehumanized humans. And that's why when the Marines were seen torturing that puppy to death, they tried to deny it was real at first and attacked yours truly a few years ago, and later admitted it was real, because kitties haven't been dehumanized yet. They haven't been, seen in simulated deaths millions of times on television. And so showing the cop petting a kitty, he's good, the humans are bad. It's all part of a puff piece. So I thought we'd go ahead and go to some footage that illustrates that this militarization of police is really what the Founding Fathers warned about and what Posse Comitatus post-Civil War warned about. That once you militarize police and once you teach them that the public is their enemy, cops are supposedly peace officers. Peace officers are guardians of the society and the culture. But military is meant to kill an enemy and break things, kill people and break things. And so when the police are militarized and mainly made up of folks who are mentally scrambled from 5, 6, 7 tours in combat, they now see the public as their enemy. And I saw an article in the Drudge Report talking about thousands of Marines on Reddit driving up the story of this young Marine, Scott Olson, being shot at point-blank range with a tear gas round that has killed people. Remember that Red Sox post-game where they shot the girl for no reason in the face of the one and she died? And it talked about Marines by the thousands being angry about their brother. And I saw the comments by others saying, really? In fact, if you scroll down, I'm a Marine, and these Occupy Wall Street people are scum, and I say, kill them, basically. Well, whether they're Marine or not, everybody has the First Amendment, and we're going to show you the footage of actually what happened. So they shoot him at point-blank range with a canister you're not supposed to shoot any closer than 50 feet, and that'll still break your ribs. They shoot him with that just for fun because everybody else ran in fear when the cops pulled out the guns and had the German Shepherds, but the veterans stood right up there and said, we have a right to speak out against the corrupt banks. That's what they reportedly said. The cops said, no, you don't. Boom. Right in the face, his friend said, and as reported. So he falls down, skull cracked, he's brain damaged, he might die right now. He's in critical condition, reportedly brain surgery. And the right wing's response is, kill him, he's not American. People that call themselves right-wing. You're not right-wing, you're not left-wing. You're a bootlicker of the foreign banks sucking this country dry. Now, I'm going to show you footage. People run over to help the guy with blood pouring out of his head caved in, shot with a high-powered canister at point-blank range, and the cops just coldly pull a flashbang and throw it in the crowd like it's funny. Well, don't worry. The elite are going to treat you like that too, cop. They're going to take your pension funds. They're going to shoot you up full of cancer-laden vaccine shots. You think you've hired a bunch of you psychos and now you're just going to get away with this forever? Your own masters are going to stomp you flatter than a pancake. You shouldn't be worried about us. You should be worried about your own masters who God is going to turn loose to eat your lunch. Now, good cops should repent of this and speak out against it, or it's in your name. When you don't speak out against evil or don't care enough to say it matters or let somebody bleed to death in the gutter, it's on you. And that's common law. About 6 years ago, a cop got run over up here on the highway and on the side of the road, on the frontage road, and people drove by for an hour and didn't help him, I guess because he was a cop, or they were intimidated by the uniform, and he bled to death. Then I said that was wrong. That's a fellow human being right there. But when cops sit there and watch somebody bleeding out of their head on the ground, people come over to help them, and you attack them, my God, you people, communist Chinese don't even act like that. I mean, you are really shameful. Let's go ahead and go to this next clip.
They have guns? Huh? They have guns?
Remember, the media pulled out right before this happened. Both helicopters were told to leave, working with the cops. This is Tiananmen Square.
Bushmaster, Crazy Horse 1-8.
And this, of course, we got our YouTube channel basically shut down over this. Everybody else was allowed to show it on YouTube, and the news could show it, but we can't show you these kids being killed or shot because we put it in a true context of what it meant, actually reached out to the military and pointed out that the U.S. Army came up and tried to save the kids. Here they are killing Reuters reporters.
Clear. Coming around clear. Roger. Trying to, Hey, request permission to engage. Picking up the wounded. Yeah, we're trying to get permission to engage. Come on, let us shoot. A Bushmaster, Crazy Horse 1-8.
And here you go.
Bushmaster, Crazy Easy Horse 1-8.
Those weapons of mass destruction got to be somewhere. Maybe under here.
And now we get into the coffins. When I was flying back from a news event earlier this week at the Austin airport, they had a guy killed by a improvised explosive device. I guess kind of like that guy shot in the head by the tear gas canister, but that's liberty when they do that. But this guy was killed by an IUD. And here's the Oakland footage from just a few days ago. We'll cut to where it actually starts here in a moment. Peaceful guy standing up there in front of the cops. They shoot him in the head with the canister. By the way, they're removing this video off YouTube and other channels. They don't want Americans to see what actually happened, where they shoot the guy in the head, and then when people try to help him, they throw a flashbang on him. Because it's funny. They're just American roaches, and these are cops that work for bankers. See that? He's over there. They're trying to help him right there. I think we have it where we slow it down, right? Yeah, here it is. They've shot him in the head. Here comes the hand grenade.
What happened? What happened? You got hit. You got shot. What's your name? What's your name? Wake up. What's your name? What's your name? Shit. Medic!
Scott Olson was shot by police while standing still. The police fired at point-blank range, which is potentially fatal. The police shooting was unprovoked and incredibly dangerous. Well, you don't protest the banks that raped this country, okay? Besides, the cops are petting kitties. I mean, the Washington Post said so. So that's what they're doing in Oakland, according to the Washington Post. Petting cats. And you're against cats if you don't like it. Now, speaking to Google and its sub-company, YouTube, about this, and people say, oh, if you don't like YouTube, just get off of it. About half the video views in the world are on YouTube. We've reached 300 million people there in just the last couple of years. And they advertise it's free speech as long as you don't violate their rules, but then the government tells them to take stuff down, so they do it. That'd be like if you go to a restaurant and it says there's something on a menu, fettuccine Alfredo, and they bring you a rotten rat. It's false advertising. You have a right to get upset about it. This is the new political commons. Okay? We built YouTube. And they've come out with their transparency report and admit all these different cases where they've been told to take stuff down by the government. By, quote, law enforcement because it shows police brutality. Or in other reports because it, quote, is critical of the government. The government clicked that tab to request that something comes down. And now we have this little tidbit of news, and of course we have stories where, I mean, look at them, they just take everything down. Stuff on the Federal Reserve they don't like, they take it down. Stuff criticizing killing people, they take it down. People being shot in the head, it's taken down. We're finding our material blacklisted more and more. And now they've introduced a bill, which is to mirror the global treaty, where rogue website bill creates Chinese-style ban list. And again, I mentioned how they're saying take down stuff that contains government criticism. This is really happening in the United States. And that's why we're racing to build InfoWars Nightly News and our own platform. Because we understand that the big crowds and the new people we can reach are on YouTube, but for how long? And that's why if you're a YouTube viewer or one of these other video system viewers, you need to remember Infowars.com. And even if that URL gets blocked, we'll have our information on the web. There's ways to get around it. We have the Infowars Insider email you can sign up to, where we can send you stuff even though they shut down our websites. Remember and think about how valuable this information is, and that people are going through a lot of trouble to bring you this, and don't always expect that this information is just going to be here. It's the Friday, October 28th, 2011 edition of InfoWars Nightly News. And, you know, we've been covering the war crimes of NATO and the globalists and their Nobel Peace Prize winner-led operation that is taking place in Libya. Now they say Syria. And after the globalists have wrecked the countries, they bring Muslim extremists in and put them in power and rebuild the nation. And I guess in 5 years, we'll be blowing the country up again. This is this perpetual war for perpetual peace, really schizophrenic insanity that we've now faced. Now, you know we've gone over the unbelievable, I can't believe this is happening, attacks on free speech, the First Amendment in this country. I remember 3 years ago when Australia tried to pass a law to ban any website the government wanted if it was anti-government or critical of corruption. And they couldn't get the parliament to pass it, so the prime minister said, well, we'll just do a test. And they did the test and shut down tens of thousands of websites, including dental websites, you name it. And, we've shown you earlier and on today's radio show the Google Transparency Report. It's thousands of pages, where the federal government, state government, local government would, quote, order them outside of law to remove things, quote, critical of government. Critical of government. Oh, this was critical. That's the word they use. Government criticism, critical, there it is. And they've, again, ordered YouTube to remove things containing government criticism. And local police departments said, don't show brutality. In fact, I've seen them today taking down videos that show the peaceful Marine Corps vet who'd been in multiple theaters shot in the face, he's supposedly fighting for freedom, from a few feet away, point-blank range, with a high-powered tear gas canister by the cops. And they're saying, get that commie, he deserves it. Well, I don't know if he's a commie, a libertarian, a Democrat, a Republican, or if he worships the Keebler elves. The point is, he's got a First Amendment. And I'm tired of people selling this type of corruption as if it's something good. And now they've introduced the Rogue Websites Bill. And they openly say this is for copyright, but you read the agreement, it's a national version of the international treaty where if a corporation says you're copyright violating or a government says you're doing something wrong, no judge, no jury, your website's gone, period. This is the type of world they're moving to, and it is very, very dangerous. We've had a lot of reporters ask, why have our videos been suspended by YouTube? Because they're effective, because they're waking people up. And then I have other idiots that come out and say, well, don't be on there then. They advertise it as a free and open forum as long as you follow their rules, and we do. But then they change the rules with stuff that they don't like because the government is putting pressure on them. Okay? This is how this stuff happens.